If you stepped outside tonight and looked up, what would you see? Well, if the weather was a little better, you'd be staring at stars, right? Whilst that's largely true, there's quite literally a lot more out there than meets the eye. If there was a little less light pollution and we had darker skies, along with planets and stars, you'd be able to see distant galaxies like our own, each containing hundreds of billions of their own stars. The Andromeda galaxy, which is the closest to our own, is 2.5 million light years away. The light entering your eyes would have left the stars in the Andromeda galaxy before humans even existed. The image on screen now shows a group of galaxies. It's important that you understand that none of the specks of light are individual stars. They're galaxies, each containing hundreds of billions of stars. What portion of the sky do you think was photographed to create this image? Probably a vast area, right? Well, make a thumbs up at arm's length. Do that now. The galaxies you see in the image are found in a patch of sky the size of your thumbnail. Some of the furthest galaxies in the image appear as though they did up to 13 billion years ago, which is not that long after the Big Bang. I'm hoping at this point that you're feeling a sense of wonder as well as curiosity about what's out there in space, and that's exactly what World Space Week is all about. Between the 4th and 10th of October every year, people all over the world come together to celebrate how space exploration helps us understand the universe, as well as our place within it. It's the biggest annual celebration of space and science on our planet, a week dedicated to learning, imagining, and discovering what lies beyond our skies. World Space Week was created by the United Nations back in 1999 to mark two of humanity's greatest milestones in space. Firstly, the launch of the very first man-made satellite into space, Sputnik 1, by the Soviets in 1957, and then the signing of the Outer Space Treaty 10 years later, which declared that space belonged to everyone. Since the launch of Sputnik in 1957, space truly has become a home for humanity. Humans have set foot on the moon, launched countless satellites into orbit, carried out science on board space stations, and sent probes that will travel into space for billions of years, long after we're gone. You might be wondering why exploring space matters at all. When we think about space, we often imagine rockets, astronauts, and faraway planets. But so much of what happens up there shapes life down here. The weather forecast you might check before heading into school, or the satellite connection your phone needs to help you navigate to where you're meeting friends at the weekend. Right now, there's thousands of satellites orbiting Earth. They track hurricanes, monitor forest fires, map cities, and even guide aeroplanes. Without them, our world would be far less connected and far less informed. Technology invented for space drives the inventions we use every day, from memory foam mattresses, to the scratch-resistant lens on your phone camera or your glasses, to the solar panels powering homes across the world. Exploring space isn't just about escaping Earth, it's about understanding it better. Let's talk about something that's almost impossible to imagine. There are more stars in the universe than there are grains of sand on all beaches on Earth. Think about that for a second. Our own Milky Way galaxy contains approximately 100 billion stars, and the Milky Way isn't even that big compared to other galaxies. Andromeda contains about twice the number of stars in our own galaxy. Adding to all of this, there are an estimated 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. That gives us a rough figure of about 200 billion trillion stars in the universe. That's 2 with 21 zeros that follow. Each and every one of those stars is likely to have planets orbiting around them. Many of them will be like our own. Astronomers have discovered over 5,000 planets orbiting distant stars. Some are rocky, like Earth and Mars, and some are gas giants, like Jupiter and Saturn. They've even found a few that have oceans and atmospheres, like Earth. Somewhere out there could be another world looking back at us. A little closer to home, we can see that space is full of extremes. On Venus, it's so hot that the atmosphere can melt lead. On Jupiter, there's a storm with a diameter the size of the Earth. On Neptune, it rains diamonds, and on Mars, the sunsets are blue. About 200 miles above us, there are astronauts aboard the International Space Station. They're orbiting the Earth at around 17,000 miles an hour. They orbit the Earth 16 times a day and see a sunrise and sunset every 45 minutes. Because of the microgravity they experience, they even grow a few centimeters while they're up there. The Apollo missions that took humans to the moon happened in the 3 years between 1969 and 1972. We haven't been back since, but for the first time in over 50 years, we're preparing to return, not just to visit, but this time to stay. The Artemis program plans to return humans to the moon by 2030. The long-term aim is to build a permanent lunar base which acts as a stepping stone to Mars. It's not science fiction anymore. Humans will travel to the moon before continuing on to Mars within your lifetime. It's also not just governments anymore. Private companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin are developing reusable rockets, space tourism, and plans to build entire colonies beyond Earth. What once sounded impossible is now becoming accessible to the point that some of you might actually travel to space in the future. So, World Space Week reminds us that space exploration isn't just about rockets and robots. It's about perspective. It teaches us to think bigger because our place in the universe is extremely small. Most astronauts say the same thing when they return to Earth. They talk about how fragile, beautiful, and borderless our planet appears from space. Just one shared home floating in the darkness. When we study the universe, we begin to understand how rare and unique our planet really is. It reminds us that the same science that takes us into space can also protect our home. The image on screen shows a pale blue dot. That dot is the Earth viewed from almost 4 billion miles away. It was taken by the Voyager probe as it passed Saturn in 1990. Carl Sagan, an American astronomer and science communicator, said, upon seeing the image, "That's here, that's home, that's us. Everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you've ever heard of, every human there ever was. That's the history of our species, on a fleck of dust, suspended on a sunbeam." So this week, as the world celebrates the wonder of space, let's remember what that tiny blue dot represents. All of humanity, and the only planet we have. It might look small and insignificant, but its representatives, you, have the power to understand it, explore beyond it, and protect it. And who knows, perhaps one day, one of you will help write the next chapter of that story.